Hi friends, it's Em and welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be setting up my November in review in my book journal. As always, this is a collab video with Knit Plan Jess and I will link her video below. So don't forget to check out her video and comment below what your favorite book of November was. I freaking loved this sea turtle theme. It was just so random, as I'm sure y'all know, but it really filled me with a lot of joy. The color scheme was so weird in the best way with the blues, the greens, and the browns. I will say that I have not set up my December book journal because I was late in ordering my stickers and it's killing me inside. But I do get to sort of think about all the books that I read in November. I was on a roll, when I tell you, in November. So 30 days, I read 26 books, which is a lot, in my opinion. And I was going all in on my physical TBR. So this month, I read 14 books that were on my physical TBR. And then I also made sure to, at our sort of local book club meeting, I had a bunch of ARCs and books that I knew I was never going to get to, and I took them to book club. That's just like, that's how it goes. You go, okay, someone else is going to love these. If no person snags them, they're going to go to a little free library. Easy peasy. I read 12 romance books this month, which I feel like for me, usually it's not that many. Like, it's maybe closer to 6, 7, 8. But I also read 6 fantasy books this month. So I was kind of alternating between some big, thick boys and then some sort of thinner romance books to sort of balance it out. But I also was kind of all over the place in my genres. So I also read mysteries, thrillers, a horror, a sci-fi, 2 literary fictions, not just one, and a contemporary, which is just like really fun. I had a lot of 5-star reads. I would say in terms of books that have been released, I loved The Rom-Con by Devin Daniels. So that is like How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, but it's kind of with a 50s twist on it. If you need a holiday novella, definitely check out Corporate Mandated Holiday Romance by Nellie Wilson. It's just so good. I don't know how to describe it. Eat the rich. That's the best way to describe it. If you're kind of not in the holiday spirit, you still wish it was Halloween, I would recommend A Demon's Guide to Wooing a Witch by Sarah Hawley. That's the sequel to A Witch's Guide to Fake Dating a Demon. There are lots of words in all of these titles. And then in terms of books that you should be keeping your eye out for next year, Red String Theory by Lauren Kung Jessen is so freaking good. I loved it. I loved it to pieces. Also, Everyone on This Train is a Suspect. So that's the sequel to Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone. And it's perfect. It's basically perfect. Just like classic mystery vibes. If you're wanting books that will make you feel something, I read Olga Dies Dreaming and Banyan Moon. Those books I think I read them back to back too, which might explain why I was really, really kind of depressed. Banyan Moon is definitely, I feel like, more of a family drama historical fiction vibe, whilst Olga Dies Dreaming is definitely straight up lit fic. I also really enjoyed The Second Chance Year, which just came out, as well as Raiders of the Lost Heart. I thought that those were both 2 really fun in their own ways. second chance year is kind of like a 13 going on 30 or big situation where, you make a wish and then you go back in time or something changes. Whilst Raiders of the Lost Heart was kind of like an archaeology adventure romance, I would liken it kind of to something wild, where like I still wanted a lot more adventure, and that I had some problems with the book, but I think I still gave it 5 stars. So it was fun. I liked it. What I also noticed this month is that, so I only read 11 books by BIPOC authors, but I read 9 of them all in a row. And that was some of my favorite just sort of back-to-back reading sprints. Part of that was that my hold for the second book in the Summer I Turned Pretty series came in, so I was marathoning that. And that book is so it's like a soap opera, basically. And like back in 2011, 2014, when these books were coming out, that's what they were like. I think now there's a lot more nuance, but like back then that's what it was like, and it fit it. I read the third one, and the third one was like a dumpster fire. I could not look away. I could not put it down. It was a lot. I was also sick for like the last week in November. Last week in November, first week of December. So that also contributed to why I was reading so much, because I wasn't exercising as much as usual. I wasn't going outside. I was just like, I'm dead to the world. In terms of my usual stats that I track, 42% of my reads this month were BIPOC authors, and 42% of them had disability representation, and 54% had LGBT representation. So pretty okay overall. I think that I need to do lots of things, right? I need to update my goals for next year, which is probably going to be an entire video by itself. But I also, as always, the intentionality behind it is really what matters. So I think at a minimum this year, I want to make sure that I read 100 books by BIPOC authors, because I've read 300 books this year. And if a third of them are not BIPOC authors, I don't know what I've been doing. This month, because I read so many books off of my TBR cart, my NetGalley suffered a little bit. Not much. So I read 11 NetGalley arcs. But I was only approved for 5 new ones. So that's a net positive of 6 reviewed copies. I'm working my way very, very slowly. I'm hoping that I can get back to just 1 page of arcs. Maybe by the end of the year. I have doubts on that. I don't know if that'll maybe ever be feasible for me. But I have a 94% feedback ratio. And just for those of you who are like new on NetGalley, I still get rejected like all the time. Like I said, in some cases, I'm not the target audience for the arcs, and then I get rejected, and that's okay. But the key is to read the books, right? Read them, review them, scream to the rooftops about why you love these books, and everything will turn out okay. That meant, though, that my little pie chart for arcs, new releases, and backlists looked way different than in the previous months, because I was reading a lot of new releases and backlist titles, which I thought was really fun. I think that November kind of wrapped up sort of how I want to be reading, where like I don't want to feel like I have to read something just because it's coming out. I know that like in general I want to be meeting my expectations from publishers and stuff like that. Also, I just thought these currants that I drew in green were really cute. I did have a bunch of blank spaces, so I go in and I kind of fill it with some journaly stuff. But my turtles, they're just in this like seaweed, or maybe it's just like some nasty looking water, I don't know. I just thought it added some like movement and interest to the page. But I am excited. I know it's December 9th when I'm recording this, but There are still a lot of books that I want to read before 2023 ends, which is why I have not done any of the wrapped up stats, because I'm not going to be done until the 31st. And even then, like, then I might be thinking, oh man, what do I start the new year with? So if you have any recommendations for what book I should start the new year with, that would be something I'd be interested in hearing. In terms of my 10 before the end that we've made, I have read half of them, actually. So I have 4 left. The 4 that I have left are The Memory Librarian, The Fury, Tastes Like Shakar, and A Day of Fallen Night. And I have holds or a physical copy for all of these. So technically speaking, there's no excuse, except that for A Day of Fallen Night, I'm not going to be reading the physical copy, because if it fell on my face, it would break my nose. And I drop my Kindle on my face literally all the time, because I read right before bed. So that's where we're at. In terms of the other ones, yeah, there's no excuse, and I love a challenge. I'm gonna try and get these done. So I hoped that you enjoyed this video. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more Bookish Bujo content. I post usually about weekly, sometimes twice a week. Don't forget to check out Jess's video and let both of us know what your favorite read of November was. And as always, happy planning.